Hello, hello. Hope everybody can hear me good. Yeah, tomorrow's UFC Fight Night, Jan versus Dvalishvili, and me and Harrison last night spent a little time, debating and discussing which picks we wanted to bet on, and Harrison decided to actually place a straight bet on every single fight. I was a little more selective. Last week we had a lot of success at the sports book. So before tomorrow's card, instead of talking about it hindsight 2020 or after the fact, we figure we ought to bring our picks to the table. So hopefully somebody can make some money off them. Um, and yeah, thanks for joining me here. Check out Beefy Boys Breakdowns UFC podcast every single week. The day after or a couple days after the card, we go over all our fights, give our opinion on the fallout, on the repercussions, on just really just talk about it from a fan's perspective and what we want to see as fans moving forward. And also like takeaways, things we noticed, fighters that we're high on moving forward, so on and so forth. But yeah, you know, today I'm going to be going over our picks. Tomorrow night, UFC Fight Night, Jan versus Dvalishvili. Fun card, good fight night card. And I'll get straight to it, man. I'm honestly not 100% sure if this fight's going on or not, but I'll give my picks. We got Carlston Harris, Jared Gooden, which when I went to bet on it, the sports book didn't have it as an option. Um, I Jared Gooden missed weight by like 8 pounds, so I don't know if they pulled the fight or if Vegas slash the casinos didn't feel comfortable offering odds on it, or they needed time to readjust the number or what. So I said it wasn't available at my sports book, but either way, Carlston Harris. And neither one of these guys are world beaters. Harris has faced some high level competition. Gooden kind of has proven to not fully be UFC caliber. Spent some time out of the UFC, lost a fight out of the UFC. So I just think that Carlston Harris is slightly higher level. Now, granted, you spot Gooden 8 pounds on the weight miss, and the UFC website odds can be a little squirrely because I know last night Carlson Harris was like in the minus 300 or above range. Right now they have him at minus 120. I wonder if that's to make up for the weight miss. Regardless, like I said, I just don't believe in Jared Gooden's skill set more than Carlson Harris. Give me Carlson Harris as far as the official Beefy Boy pick, but we did not actually bet this fight. Up next, we got Tyson Nam versus Bruno Silva. A lot of people have been talking about how Bruno Silva trains with Henry Cejudo, and people are high on him for that reason. Me and Harrison are going Tyson Nam, man. Tyson Nam, he has a reach advantage. He sparks people. He has the power advantage. He is 39 years old, but he's fought high level competition. His only losses are the top flight guys. We're not sure if Bruno Silva is a top flight guy. Um, and plus, you're getting the plus money. I think me and Harrison got him at plus 190, if I'm not mistaken. Right now, UFC website has it listed at plus 170, but could definitely win, and we think will win. So, yeah, we got him at plus 172. So the line, I think last night it was at plus 190. But regardless, give us Tyson Nam on that one for the upset. Up next, we got Ariana Lipski versus JJ Aldrich. Lipski either gets a really miraculous sub or she loses, has like a losing record in the UFC. JJ Aldrich, kind of opposite, kind of a boring style, but gets the job done and almost always in a decision. So we like Aldrich, not great value in the minus what the website has at minus 350. We got the number at minus 385. Lucky us. So Aldrich, it's not a lot of fun. Maybe a parlay builder. Also, maybe betting the over might be a good call because when Aldrich wins, it's by decision, and we think she's going to win. So you might squeeze a little bit better value out of the over or JJ Aldrich by decision. You can get some better value on the prop. Um, we'll keep it pushing here. Tony Gravely versus Victor Henry. In all honesty, this is kind of a mid-off. Really close money line. Henry slight favorite, minus 140-ish range. Tony Gravely coming in at plus 120. We like Gravely. It's more so that we don't like Henry. We're just kind of out on Henry. Gravely, solid fighter. Nothing really spectacular, but we're not. Victor Henry, he's 35, 36 years old in his second, third fight. Like, is he UFC caliber? Gravely definitely is. Gravely's been tested. Give us Gravely, especially with the plus money. Give it a little extra juice on it. Up next, Mario Batista, Guido Canetti, as we like to call him. Bautista's at minus 1,000, or the website has him at minus 950. There's zero value there, and you better not bet on Kennedy. Um, so this is the only fight on the entire card that we're advising, and we didn't bet ourselves, and we're advising you don't bet either. Maybe you can dig a little deeper, find a prop you like if you're just dead set on betting this one. The over under set at 1.5 rounds, which always gets dicey, especially for bantamweights, right? So like even it can be a not competitive fight and be 30-26, 30-25, but still hits the over. I don't know. I don't love the over under at 1.5 rounds on smaller fighters. This is a no bet for me. Wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Up next, we got the Dana White Contender Series guys. Cedric Dumas making his debut against Josh Fremd. So as a show, we picked Dumas pretty confidently. I went a step further, and on my personal bet, I got some good value. I'll look at my slip real quick. I got some good plus money. I think it's plus 175 on Dumas by knockout. If you look at his Tapology, he's only had one fight make it out of the first round, and the ones that did were were by knockout. Generally speaking, I think he got a sub guillotine on Dana White Contender Series, but you can really squeeze some value. Go from like minus 215 to get plus money if you do it by KO, which is typically how he wins. Also, Fremd, I do believe, has shown a little bit of a suspect chin, if my memory serves me. So I like Dumas, more specifically, I like Dumas by KO. Um, Up next, we got Rafael Assunção versus Davy Grant. This is essentially a coin flip. Grant slight underdog or slight favorite at minus 135. Assunção coming in at plus 115. We got Grant at minus 140. So there's a little bit of a money line movement, not much. I like Grant. Assunção has just been on the decline, and I think he got a win over Victor Henry, if I'm not mistaken, who I just gave my opinion on Victor Henry. Not the biggest fan, so not the greatest win. I don't think a win over Victor Henry rights the ship after like a 4-fight L streak plus the advancing age. Davy Grant's no spring chick either, but just seems to be more steady. Not in the Davy Grant's plane is holding altitude while Assunção's plane is plummeting rapidly. That's how I see it anyway. Vegas sees that either guy could win, and either guy could win. I mean, Assunção, I think if Grant wins, it's probably by decision if you want to try to add some value there. But yeah, we like Grant. Think a little more in the tank, a little more fresh. Assunção maybe could pull out a sub or something, but I just think we essentially as a show, we think Assunção is pretty much done. Keeping it pushing, we got Carl Williams versus Lucas Bresky. Carl Williams making his debut. I think he trains with like Cody Durden, if I'm not mistaken, at the same gym. Also, he's a heavyweight. He wouldn't be training with the flyweight, but same gym, same camp. I think Durden will most likely be in his corner, so I'm talking about it on Twitter. We picked Williams. Like I said, obviously not a big body of work, but I think he's either 7-0 or 7-0-1 or something along those lines. Bresky, I believe, coming off a loss. Fight taking place at heavyweight. Give us Carl Williams. It's more so Bresky didn't make us feel any type of way to pick the, like, sometimes, you can see something, spot something that you like in an underdog, like, oh, this guy has a chance. This skill set gives this guy a chance. This experience versus this opponent gives this guy a chance. There was just nothing making me really want to make the argument for Bresky. Like I said, as far as units go, this would be like a unit one level confidence. Like I said, I don't know a ton about either one of these guys, but it's just I'm not going to die on the hill for Bresky. He hasn't really given me a reason to. Vegas feels pretty strongly at the minus 240. So in all reality, maybe a no bet if I'm like giving advice. We bet it as for Carl Williams, but not a ton of value there, not a ton of like body of work or any reason to really feel too confident either way. So, in all reality, probably a no bet, especially if you're a beginner better. If you're a veteran better, fine, see some prop you like or have some inside info, knock yourself out. But pretty neutral on Williams Bresky, but just not willing to stick my neck out for Bresky as the underdog. Up next, we got Vitor Petrino taking on Anton Turkaj. I believe Petrino making his debut. I believe he has a 100% finish rate, many of which are first round knockouts. Turkalj, if my memory served me, his chin seemed a little suspect as well. And just not a lot of high level competition. Petrino's been down in Brazil fighting savages, light heavyweight bout. Vegas has it as like a coin flip. And like I said, Turkalj just didn't strike me as a dog. I believe he's more of a grappler. And Petrino apparently, like I said, I've never watched him fight, but from what my research, he apparently throws heat and gets guys out of there. The over under is set very low. I think a round and a half, and I think it's supposed to go under a round and a half, and that heavily favors Petrino. Um, there's no, which is kind of weird that they think it's going to be an early finish, but they don't think Petrino, is like Turkalj is technically the favorite, and that style of fight definitely favors Petrino. I think there's value on Petrino. I went another step further and did Petrino by KO and got way better value from minus 105 to plus 170. So, yeah, I like Petrino by KO. And I don't know about the under 1.5. I don't love when fights are set at 1.5. That's 7 minutes is not a ton of time, but Petrino does get early finishes. As a show, we're taking Petrino, and me personally, I took him by finish. Up next, we got Said Nurmagomedov, number 14 in the bantamweight division, coming in at around minus 245. I think we got him at minus 235, so this is one of the few fights we actually got better value than it's currently at. That means some money is coming in on Martinez, and I kind of feel that. This is one where I was pretty neutral, maybe even liked Martinez plus money. Harrison talked me out of it. Harrison's very heavy on Nurmagomedov. Likes him a lot. Agrees with Vegas. Vegas obviously likes him as a lot. My 2.5 to 1. I like Martinez's skill set. I like him as a fighter. It is more of a stylistic thing. I mean, Said can strike, but I think most people definitely see him having a wrestling, grappling advantage over Martinez. Martinez is pretty much mainly just a striker. So I understand the logic there. Martinez, man, he throws some of the best kicks. I've never really seen him get tired. He has some pretty good takedown defense. Said, very, very well rounded, great skill set. Has faced some tough competition. You know, tough night out. I just think it's a tough night out for both guys. I think the money line's a little bigger than I would like. As a show, we went with Nurmagomedov. We played it safe, striker versus wrestler. But we've seen that movie before. What up, Michael? Thanks for tuning in, bro. I wonder if you're let me know if you're making any bets on the fights. Just giving our kind of predictions and how we see it going. Appreciate you tuning in. But yeah, as a show, we're going with Said Nurmagomedov. But I personally think that Martinez is going to make it close. I kind of like the over here. Martinez is a tough son of a bitch. Like I say, he's a dangerous guy. I think it's going to be closer than the money line predicts, which means that there's not a lot of value in picking Nurmagomedov. Probably the safe bet, but I don't know. I personally kind of like Martinez. Harrison kind of had to talk me in. Harrison's very bullish on Nurmagomedov, as is Vegas. Keeping it pushing, we got a catchweight bout between Nikita Krylov and Ryan Spann, 6 versus 8. This was supposed to be a main event a couple weeks ago, if you do recall, which Krylov had to pull out of because he got sick. Vegas has Krylov as a minus 170 favorite. So the guy that just got sick, that just had to pull out a fight. Now, granted, I got to be fair and upfront. I liked Spann last time. So you tell me I like Spann. Spann's the bigger man, and you're giving him 10 less pounds to cut. I think it's taking place at 215, if I'm not mistaken. Spann is a scary guy. I talked about he's been taking his training more seriously. You can always say that. I kind of tended to believe him. I said, I liked Krylov. I mean, I liked Spann before Krylov got sick and had to pull out. So I damn sure like Spann. Now, you're giving me plus 145, and you're giving me and Krylov was sick, and you're spotting him 10 pounds. I think that's my lock of the lock. Not a lock. I mean, obviously, like a JJ Aldridge is probably more of a lock, but as far as to make some money, like a bet I really, really like, some juicy plus 145 action. Ryan Spann, who's a finishing machine, by the way. And Vegas, if you do Spann by KO, which it jumps all the way to plus 340. That's insane. Maybe I'm just too high on Spann, but Spann is a knockout machine. And it's not a knockout in a round. It's not an over-under. He can get a knockout in the third round, and you still get plus 340. I love the Spann money line. I love Spann by KO. Now, I believe the over/under set at a round and a half, which I already mentioned I don't love. I think if you are leaning under, you're better off you get better number you get a better number getting spanned by KO than you do betting the under. And I think if this fight goes under, it's Span doing it, and it's probably by knockout. So you see how I much I'll take the Span by KO and also DQ counts too. So by KO, TKO, or DQ, that plus 340, that screams value. I absolutely love it. We're all over Span as a show on multiple bets. Co-main event, Volkov versus Romanov. Um, Pretty close money line here. I'm actually surprised Romanov's not a bigger favorite. Granted, he performed very poorly against Tybura in his last fight, so I kind of get it. Volkov hasn't excited me in years. Um, I'm kind of out on Volkov. It's weird. He feels old. He's only 34. He's been around a long time, taken a lot of damage, been in a lot of wars, has a lot of fights. Romanov just I mean, before the Tybura loss, he was on kind of a Pavlovich type of rise. I mean, he was regarded as a hot shot prospect. I still kind of view him that way. Um, Wrestler versus striker. Now, Volkov has a huge reach advantage, as he typically does, but we've seen Volkov get out wrestled before. Romanov's huge, heavy, great on top. Michael, who's viewing in the comments, says he has Martinez, Grant, Span, Marab for a parlay. Good parlay. Yeah, I love Span. We are taking Grant as a show. I don't hate your Martinez pick. Harrison hates it. I kind of see where you're coming from. That Martinez value, he's a dog for sure. Hey, good luck to you, brother. Hope that parlay cashes. Because we just bet straight bets. We can still turn a profit if Martinez loses. And but I'm taking Romanov minus 150. Like I said, I thought the Said Nurmagomedov Jonathan Martinez money line was too big. I think this money line is too small. We'll see. Time will tell. I think Romanov. I'd like him to win. I like him to win by sub. You can get some pretty good value on him by sub. Um, think the over under was set at 1.5, which I don't love, as I keep talking about, but you could maybe even go the under here. I think Romanov takes him down, gets on top. And if you've seen Romanov fight before, he takes guys down, gets on top. It's usually a short night. Volkov, no, obviously you can say, oh, if Volkov's able to keep it standing, keep the distance, yeah, he could get a decision for sure. And the Romanov's cardio is probably not the best. So if it gets into the third round, Volkov, it starts to look better and better the longer the fight goes for Volkov. Give me Romanov all day. I think it's a great parlay value at minus 150. Like I said, I think they got the money line wrong there. I like him by sub. There's a lot you could do, but I really like Romanov from a betting perspective. But I'm a notorious kind of Volkov hater, so I'll put that out there as kind of a caveat, grain of salt. I'm just not a believer in Volkov. I think he is a good gatekeeper. I think he's pretty mid. I think his best days are behind him. I think the skill sets of the heavyweight division has kind of caught up to him, if not surpassed him. I like me some Romanov. Let me just stroke him off a little bit more. And then in the main event, so almost every pick up to this point, we tried to really not get swayed by the money line. We really tried to just bet, even as far as eating the shitty JJ Aldridge value. And there's a couple of heavy favorites that we rode with, where we didn't get great value, but we're just trying to make accurate picks for our viewers. However, the money line on Dvalishvili was just like I couldn't ignore it. Every other one I was kind of able to compartmentalize and push it out of my mind, and really not get swayed, not get greedy. Dvalishvili at plus 220, it just seems too good to pass up. Now, you could say that's because Vegas knows something, or people aren't giving him a chance. I think he's much bigger than Jan. I think he's much stronger than Jan. I think that the second Sterling fight proved that Jan can kind of be taken down and held there. Marab trains at the same camp and is the primary training partner of Aljo. So, obviously the game plan's in place. He probably helped prepare Aljo for it. So he's pretty much gone through three Peter Yan camps, if you think about it. I think the game plan's going to be there. That gym is crushing right now. Sarah Longo on the East Coast. I think they're going to have him ready. I think he's a bigger man. And he's just kind of, I think age-wise, they're technically about the same, but he just seems kind of more on an upward trajectory. After the Sean O'Malley decision, Jan was like pondering retirement, pondering leaving the UFC, taking his ball and go home. Like, I don't know how invested he is or if he believes he can get the belt back. Like, he seemed very kind of dejected. Um, Now, could Peter Yan win this fight? For sure, for sure. He's a savage. But I just think the game plan, the path to victory, the physicality, just the kind of like Marab still believes he's a future champ. Like, you could say that's corny or that doesn't count as much as people want it to, or there's a lot of things that you could say on that front. I just kind of believe in Marab. I love that value. I mean, that's insane value. It's the perfect straight bet. Also, if you do Dvalishvili by decision, which I think if he wins, it'll be by decision, especially, in factor in the judges hate Peter Yan. You get all the way to plus 300, which just seems like stealing. Time will tell, right? Maybe put that on Cold Takes Exposed if it doesn't hit. But seriously, so we like Dvalishvili. Now, like I said, it is influenced by the money line. We are getting a little greedy. We like decision for plus 300 is insane value for the kind of up and coming guy. Jan tends to lose decisions for one reason or another. You could agree with it, disagree with it. His style just doesn't seem to lend itself to winning decisions. Marab always wins by decision. So I think Marab by decision plus 300 is it's looking too juicy to pass up. That's what we took as a show. You could also go the over, but I think if you want to go the over, you might as well bet like Jan by decision, or you might as well get more specific with it because the over, I don't think you get great value. And I think if it goes over, that kind of favors Marab, right? So like Marab by decision or just Marab straight up. Like if that's how you see the fight going, I think if you like Jan, you got to like him by KO because his striking is much better than Marab. I don't think, but Marab has an iron chin. So I think there's a lot. I think Marab's hard to finish, and I think Jan's going to have to finish him to win. I think if it goes to decision, that favors Marab. So Marab, like I said, I keep hammering on plus 220 on the money line because he could, maybe get a sub. I mean, who knows? Anything can happen. The sport's crazy. That's why we love it. But Rob by decision just feels right. And if you're giving me plus 300, I mean, you can build out a 4-leg parlay trying to get plus 300, and you can get that on one bet. So yeah, that's it. I mean, this went a little longer than I wanted to. I'll wrap it up. We break down every single card. And we want to start doing more of this betting type content, giving our picks. We've been doing pretty good at the sports book. So let's get this money, y'all. Check out the other videos on our channel. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That really helps us out. We're really trying to grow this. We've been at this for years now. We really believe in it and want to see it grow. So please help us and accomplish our goals and get to where we want to get to. Thank you so much, everybody that checked this out, and hopefully let's cash them tickets, boys and ladies. Let's go. Let's get this bread. Thanks, everybody.